Thank you very much for taking the time to learn about AES antennas. They are a very important component to installing an AES subscriber and one of the most misunderstood pieces. The first point is that AES always recommends using omnidirectional antennas. AES utilizes a radio mesh to get the radio signals back to the central station. Using the correct antenna will ensure that we are able to connect to the closest peer and give the subscriber the highest signal strength. AES always recommends installing the antenna above the building roofline so that the subscriber has the best chance to hear the closest radio. If you install an antenna below the building roofline, oftentimes you've turned that antenna into an omnidirectional antenna or a Yagi antenna because the radio signal cannot pass through the building. Antenna gain is also important to keep in mind when selecting the proper antenna. Often people think that a higher gain antenna send out more power from the AES subscriber. Unfortunately, gain does not amplify the radio signal. Antenna gain focuses the radio signal. The term for the width of the radio signal coming off the antenna is called the beam width. Higher dB antennas, the beam width is very different from the beam width of the rubber duck antenna that is included with the AES subscriber. But as a general rule, the higher the dB antenna, the lower to the ground that antenna should be. From this diagram, you can see how drastically different the beam widths of the radio signal come off of the different dB antennas. The rubber duck, which is included in every AES subscriber, is listed as a unity gain antenna, which will send the radio signal 180 degrees. The distance of the radio signal will depend highly on geographical factors, how much metal is near the antenna, what the building is made of, and many other things, but a general estimate is 3 miles. Next, the 3 dB antenna drastically reduces the beam width to 35 degrees and up to 5 miles. A 9 dB antenna has a beam width of 7 degrees, which is the radio equivalent of shooting a laser beam from the antenna. The good part about the higher dB antennas is that they can send a radio signal much further, up to 15 miles, and in practice we've seen the radio signals go much further than that. It is also important that when mounting these antennas to make sure that the antenna is plumb. If you are sending out a 7-degree beam width and the antenna is leaning one direction by more than 7 degrees, the radio signal will never reach the ground. Now that we know how the radio signal comes off the antenna, we should know that antennas cannot be mounted horizontally. The radio signal that will come off the antenna will send one signal straight up into the air and one signal straight down to the earth. It is possible that you could get a subscriber to work by mounting the antenna horizontally, but it will not work well. On the left you can see one of the worst installations I have ever seen. Someone mounted an antenna with double-sided tape and the tape has fallen off, causing the antenna to lay horizontally. On the right we have a 6 dB antenna mounted plumb above the building roofline and with all ground planes and radials installed correctly. Remember how I said as you go up in dB of the antenna, it is important to go down in height as a general rule. Well, this is a real-life example from a person that put 4 9 dB antennas on the top of a giant building in the middle of a city. You ask, why would somebody do that? Well, IP links, which is the product that turns the AES radio signal into data and sends it to the central station, are very expensive. And people new to AES will say, hey, I have a buddy that will let me put some antennas up on his tower or up on his building. So what they do is they go out and they buy the biggest antennas they can and put them on the highest building or tower they can, and then that way they'll never have to buy additional IP links. The problem is that we now know about is these big dB antennas send out very small beam widths, which means it will take a long time, or a long distance actually, for that signal to reach the ground. Once again, this is a real life example, so we have 9 dB antennas on the top of a 900-foot building, and it will be 2.7 miles before that radio signal will hit the ground. As I said before, height plays a very large factor. If we lowered the antenna from 900 feet to 250 feet, that will reduce the dead zone to 3/4 of a mile. Going from 9 dB antenna to a 3 dB antenna will lower the dead zone to just over a half a mile. And then doing both, dropping the antenna to 250 feet and using a 3 dB antenna will drop the dead zone to just over 1/10 of a mile. This is a list of the different antenna types that AES offers. First, we have our rubber duck antenna. This is an indoor-only antenna, comes with every subscriber, and this is the antenna that I would always try first. If the rubber duck works, I would utilize that. There are also some different mounting kits which we'll talk about in a bit. Next we have our Phantom antenna, which is a 3.6 dB antenna. It's made by Laird. It comes in white and black. This is by far our highest quality antenna. It is also one of our more expensive antennas. Anecdotally, I have found with talking with other technicians that many times this can get you out of having to remote an antenna outside. So I would recommend everybody carries one of these antennas with them. In case the rubber duck doesn't work, you could try the Phantom antenna, see if that works. If it does, then you don't have to remote an antenna or put an antenna externally. You can just use the Phantom, and it's well worth the extra cost in labor savings. The Phantom antenna is also rated for indoor and outdoor use. It can be mounted directly to the top of the can if you bore out the top of the can a little bit, and using our NMO mount. First we have our 3 dB antenna. This is rated for indoor or outdoor use. If you're installing it indoors or outdoors though, you will need an offset bracket to keep it away from the wall so that all of the radials or ground planes can be left in place. It is also very important to weather seal this connection right here to make sure that water or rain or snow does not get into the cabling. Next we have our Stealth antenna. Our Stealth antenna I think everybody should have in their AES kit so that you can use this to find the exact location of the radio. We do have a product called the NCT that we recommend not using to find the exact location of where to put the antenna. If you take the subscriber that you're going to install, plug in the battery and the Stealth antenna, actually always make sure to plug in the antenna before plugging in the battery, and then use this antenna to find where you're going to put the exact location. Every time you move the antenna, it is important to power cycle the subscriber, but we want to use this antenna because this is the one antenna that does not require ground planes. So if you power it from the battery and you're using an antenna without ground planes, when you install the actual antenna you're going to use and hook up the AC or DC power, you know it's going to work before going through all the hassle of mounting the subscriber on the wall. We also have a 5 dB antenna, which is very similar to our 3 dB. It's listed for indoor and outdoor use. It's very important to weather seal the base, and this is a slightly longer antenna with a little piece in the middle. That's how you can distinguish it from our 3 dB antenna. Next we have our fiberglass antennas. We have our 6, 7, and 9 dB antennas. The 6 dB antenna is the largest antenna I would recommend using with our AES system. The 7 and the 9 dB antennas are great antennas, but they have a couple of drawbacks. One is they are very large antennas. 2 pieces, so you need to make sure to connect this connection in the middle. These antennas, because of that connection in the middle, will degrade faster than the 6 dB antenna. Also, the 7 and the 9 dB antennas are much larger antennas, so they will catch more weather, they'll catch more rain, they'll catch more wind. The 7 and the 9 dB antennas as well, you will need permission from the Director of Tech Support, Lee Doobie, to purchase these antennas because we find that generally they do more harm to a network than good. Here are a few of the different antenna mounts that AES offers. First, we have the offset bracket for the fiberglass antennas. Notice that this offset bracket allows the antenna's radials to stay clear from the wall. It is very important that you keep the radials in place. Next, we have our 3-foot tripod mount, which you can use for mounting on the top of a roof or any flat location. And next we have our universal antenna mount, which is a very secure way of mounting the AES antennas. This is often used for mounting satellite dishes on the top of people's homes. Here is the NMO mount that will allow you to install the Phantom antenna in the top of the subscriber. You will have to bore out the hole in the top of the subscriber a little larger to fit the NMO mount. Then you will be able to use the top of the subscriber as your ground planes, so there will be no additional installation necessary. You can also use this with our EMK kit, which is basically an L bracket with a couple of keyhole screws so that you can mount it to the wall. Many times we've seen the AES subscriber mounted above the ceiling tiles in a building. With this, you can just mount the antenna above the ceiling tiles and then put the actual subscriber at eye level, and then every time you need to service the subscriber, you don't have to get out a ladder and climb above the ceiling tiles. We also have an offset bracket for the 3-5 dB antennas as well as the Phantom antenna. Note that if you don't install the Phantom antenna in the top of the subscriber, subscriber, you will still need ground planes to make sure that the antenna works to its best ability. Ground planes, or radials, are very important to keep the radio signal from coming off the antenna and just hitting the ground and dying. The ground planes actually create an electric field that the radio signal will bounce off and keep the radio signal in a usable area. With all antennas that are not being installed on a subscriber, an offset bracket needs to be used to keep the antenna away from the wall and allow the antenna ground planes in place. If you ever see an antenna lag to a wall with one of the ground planes missing, or much worse, one of the ground planes bent along the antenna, this is dramatically lowering the signal strength of the subscriber. The AES 7230 surge protector must be installed on all outdoor antenna installations. The reason we install the surge protector is not to protect the equipment, although that is an added side benefit. The 7230 is there to protect the building and making sure that we do not cause a fire in the building if lightning were to strike the antenna. We want to make sure that the 7230 is not located in the can of the subscriber. We want to make sure that it's ground to independent ground rod or building steel, and that all connections are in a weatherproof enclosure. Or you can install the surge protector as soon as the cable enters the building. One of the main things when finding a location for the antenna is we want to make sure that there is no metal within 18 inches of the antenna for the AES subscriber. If there is too much metal near the antenna, what's going to happen is the radio signal will come out of the antenna, reflect off the metal, and then go right back into the antenna. There's some other things to consider. Power supplies generate radio frequency interference. Generally, fire alarm manufacturers put the power supply on the left-hand side, so we recommend when mounting the AES subscriber to mount it on the right-hand side. Stucco also has a wire mesh within it to keep the stucco on the building. This generates a wire mesh that it's very hard to get the radio frequency out of. Also, anything that generates an electrical arc or draws large amounts of current also generates radio frequency interference. Something to keep an eye on when picking a location. So we want to keep it away from any high voltage junction boxes. A craftsman bent all the conduit for this room. If you do have to mount an AES subscriber in this room, you almost certainly are going to have to mount an antenna externally. Not only do you have all the conduit running all over the place, but there's the metal pan in between floors here. It's going to be very hard to get a radio signal out of this room. By all means, please try our Phantom antenna to see if it works, but if it doesn't, this is where you'll have to mount an antenna outdoors. So what are the three most important things for your antenna? Location, location, location. Just like if you were to start a restaurant, it is very important that you choose the proper location for the antenna. The subscriber can be almost anywhere as long as you're not using the dialer. If you are using the dialer, it needs to be within 20 feet of the fire alarm panel. But we had a customer recently who had a 9 dB antenna that was causing more harm to his network than good. We suggested he switch to a much lower gain antenna, and he thought he would be funny and put a rubber duck on the top of a mast on top of his office building. He also shared with us the handheld programmer so we could see how this affected his network. As you can see here, we have before with the 9 dB antenna and then after with the rubber duck antenna on top of the mast. Zeros with our legacy product are good quality signals, so you can see that there are 4 good paths for the radio signal to take. Before, it had 4 bad signals, because what was happening, it's only reaching radios that are having a hard time talking back. You will see ACK delays on your network if you have antennas too large. You can also see that it's reporting to completely different radios, because it's speaking with the radios that are close to it rather than the radios that are far away by the time that 7-degree beam width from the 9 dB antenna reaches the ground. It's important to use the smallest antenna possible so you connect with the subscribers that are closest for the highest quality signal. After you've put up your antenna, I want to do one final check to make sure that the antenna is placed in the proper spot. In order to initiate a transmission, you can hit the reset button on the subscriber. After you do that, you'll see the TX light will light up when the subscriber is transmitting. After the TX light goes off, you'll see the RX and WA light, the receiving and waiting for acknowledgement light up. How long it takes for that WA light to go off is how long it takes for your radio signal to go to its next peer and then get the acknowledgement back. This way it ensures that not only can you hear, but you can talk to the radio as well, and you should have no problems with this subscriber. Alright, let's wrap up by recapping what we've learned about antennas thus far. First, we always want to use omnidirectional antennas. We want to use the proper dB antenna for the job. The lowest dB antenna you can use to get the job done is the best antenna. We want to make sure to use the subscriber to find the exact place to install the antenna. Make sure to power cycle the subscriber every time you move the antenna. You should get Netcon 5 in 5 minutes or find a different location to put the antenna. Keep the subscriber away from metal. External antennas need to be mounted above the building roofline with a 7230 surge suppressor. Remember, this is to protect the building, not the customer's equipment. Also, before leaving the subscriber, watch the WA light to confirm the subscriber can hear as well as talk. If you have any additional questions about antennas, please contact us at our tech support number that will follow shortly. Thank you and have a great day.